My name is Tristan, and then I will be speaking with Kamar and Jackie, and we'll be talking about antioxidants and nitric oxide and how they can affect and help us with our free radical expression and also oxidative stress. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So our first slide here, we're going to talk about antioxidants and what do they do. So it's going to be a substance that inhibits oxidative reactions, and it protects the cells and tissues from oxidative damage. So antioxidants are just going to be vitamins and also supplements that we can intake through supplements, or we could intake it through food, and it protects cells and tissues from oxidative damage. How it does this is it helps with the balance of oxygen free radical molecules by increasing the clearance rate that causes oxidative stress. So a free radical is just it's going to be an oxygen molecule that has an unpaired electron in its valence electron shell. So it's an unstable and very reactive molecule. And antioxidants act as kind of a buffer that donates an electron to that free radical to help balance it so it's not as reactive and not cause oxidative stress. So the free radicals, they can lead to injury to the cells or even cell death. So not good to have accumulation of these free radicals. And if we could take antioxidants, it would help in this manner. So a pro-oxidant is going to be a substance that increases formation of reactive oxygen species, or ROSs. And then the reactive oxygen species are oxygen ions or free radicals. So it's just going to be that oxygen molecule that has an unbalanced electron there. So how and when are free radicals formed? So a free radical is an oxygen molecule with an unpaired electron, like we were saying before. These molecules affect the stability of the cell, and they denature. So they actually occur naturally, and they can help with denaturing viruses and bacteria. So that's what their kind of role is. But if there's an accumulation of them, they can cause oxidative stress. So in a lot of situations, cause these formation of free radicals. And they occur because of pollution, radiation, smoking also causes free radical formation. And it is the accumulation of these that cause that stress. So as you can see in the image to the right, it can alter gene expression. So it can have an effect on DNA as well. And then also damage to biological molecules. And this causes oxidative stress and also inflammation. So if it does occur over time, you could see chronic degenerative diseases, and those are kind of the side effects of those. What we're going to mainly focus on today, since we're talking about exercise, is going to be the internal. So we're looking at immune responses, and mainly with the blue arrows down there, cellular respiration. So that's going to be the metabolism using oxidative phosphorylation. So oxidative stress is going to be the disturbance in pro-oxidant and antioxidant balance. So if our free radical formation is more than our clearance rate, then that's when we have these issues with oxidative stress. So pro-oxidant, is going to be that increase in the formation of the ROSs. So that's what that's going to be there. And then the effect of this is going to be damage to the cells by oxidation of lipids and DNA. So for the next slide here, we're going to go over oxidative phosphorylation and how the metabolism affects this free radical formation. So when we're talking about oxidative phosphorylation, this occurs in the mitochondria. So when we're doing oxidative phosphorylation, we're relying on oxygen for the metabolism to form ATP. And this is going to happen in most of our ATP is going to be generated in the electron transport chain. And that's where we're going to see the main formation of these ROSs, or the free radicals. So, it says that the electron transport chain can be leaky. So you could see on the right there, through the electron transport chain, you see the production of ROSs and the free radicals, because the oxygen will go through the electron transport chain, and we're making ATP that way. So sometimes it gets leaky, and then you will have oxygens leak out with an unpaired electron, and that's where the free radical accumulation occurs, mostly when we're doing the oxidative phosphorylation. So it lets oxygen molecules with the unpaired electron out, and that damages the mitochondria and it causes toxicity. So you can see on the image on the right, ischemia. It's going to be the lack of blood flow to an area. So that's going to be the production of those ROSs. So the more we are relying on oxygen, the more free radicals are formed, and then that's going to cause the cell damage. So that's going to be that reperfusion injury. So it's kind of, that's going to be the steps there. And you can see how it can accumulate really quickly if you are really reliant on the oxidative phosphorylation system. So mainly endurance athletes. So if you do prolonged exercise, you can see this accumulate really rapidly. So that's going to be the audience that we really want to look at and make sure they are taking the supplements or through food, trying to get these antioxidants. So the antioxidant vitamins, so there's going to be three main ones we're going to talk about today. What they do is they're going to donate electrons to reduce inflammation. So they're donating that electron to make the oxygen molecule more stable, to not cause that oxidative stress. So the first one we're going to talk about is vitamin E. So this prevents oxidative damage and is highly reactive with polyunsaturated fats. So this is going to be lipid soluble. So that's very important here. So when we're metabolizing lipids, this donates that electron to the free radical and makes it more stable. So it helps with the maintenance of those polyunsaturated fatty acid chains and doesn't allow them to break, which leads to that formation of free radicals. And also is very important for proper red blood cell formation. So what it does, it causes vitamin E deficiency, causes mutation to the iron binding sites of the protein. And this leads to the peroxidation and oxidative stress. So this very important for red blood cell formation and maintaining our red blood cells so we get oxygen to those working muscles. So if you're deficient in vitamin E, you're not as capable to get oxygen to those working muscles. And that's why this is important, to get oxygen to those working muscles so they don't form free radicals and those unstable oxidative stress markers. So so it could be a pro or antioxidant. So pro-oxidant is going to be something that causes that oxidative stress. Antioxidant is going to be bringing down that oxidative stress. And then it also is shown that vitamin C and vitamin E co-supplementation could aid in antioxidant effects by decreasing the atherosclerotic disease. So what it's going to be here, so you can get more oxygen to those working muscles, and it's going to help each other out there. So in the next slide, we're going to talk about vitamin C and how that can help with vitamin E. So vitamin C is going to be that next antioxidant we're going to talk about here. It's going to be a water-soluble vitamin, and it has a symbiotic relationship with vitamin E. So it interacts with oxidized vitamin E. So what it does there is just regulates the vitamin E levels and interacts with those oxidized vitamin E so they can keep doing their job. So this is a scavenge superoxide and hydroxyl radical by breaking them into lipid peroxidation. So what it does is it just finds the free radicals, then donates that electron to help make it more stable, and also protects against respiratory bursts that produce hydrogen peroxide that can cause inflammation. So it helps with the regulation of hydrogen peroxide production, and that will the hydrogen peroxide causes inflammation. So if we can cut down on that, that helps the cell out. So just like with anything, vitamin C helps with anti-inflammatory properties. So it helps with the inflammation and make sure it doesn't happen there. And then vitamin A, the last vitamin that we're going to talk about today, is going to be the vitamin A. So this reacts with the ROSs, more importantly, the singlet oxygen molecules, and then makes them become inactive. So those oxygen molecules will cause oxidative stress, and then this will donate electron to make them inactive. This is considered to be a weak antioxidant compared to vitamin E and vitamin C. So it is a weaker antioxidant, so it's not really studied too much and not really too conclusive stuff. We'll get into that later. But it also has a regulatory effect on gene expression and replication. So that's going to be its main role, is it affects gene expression and replication. So it's making sure that those ROSs and the free radicals, if they do affect the genes, it doesn't replicate as quickly. So it helps regulate and prevents the expression of the free radicals to negatively impact DNA. So that's what its main role is, and very important of that vitamin A supplement, or if you supplement through vitamin A. And then also, lastly, we're going to talk about nitric oxide. So this could be used as a supplement aid in vasodilation, which means an increase in blood flow. So this can increase the delivery of oxygen and removal of waste. So that's going to be its role, and how it can maybe regulate those oxygen molecules and those free radicals, so it can remove waste. So high amounts of nitric oxide has a pro-oxidant effect in adequate doses, but in inadequate doses, it could be a pro-oxidant, and in some situations, it could be an antioxidant, which inhibits oxidation. So there's a very fine line, and there's still a lot of studies trying to find out the proper dosage of this, because it could be a pro-oxidant or an antioxidant, which is really interesting here. So important for maintaining vascular tone and function. So it causes vasodilation in the cell. So you can see on the bottom there, and the constricted blood vessel, nitric oxide goes into the endothelial cell, into the muscle tissue, and it causes vasodilation. So you can have an increase in blood flow. So it carries oxygen at a higher rate here. So very important for clearing and then also taking oxygen to those working muscles. So it is also effective in breaking lipid chains, which helps to reduce oxidation levels. So it is a lipid breaking chain that can reduce oxidation levels. And then also it can increase oxygen to the working muscles, which reduces oxidative stress there. So we're going to go into the next slide here, and then I'm going to hand it off to Kamar. She's going to talk about the effectiveness of antioxidants here.
Hi everyone, I am Kamar. So we are going to be talking about the effectiveness of antioxidants. Before I get into the topics, just a overall claim is that when doing research, there's not much out there about how antioxidants affect athletes or their performance. So there is still minimum research, but what we did find was specifically for the first one, beta-carotene. So beta-carotene is a precursor to vitamin A. Vitamin A is not highly studied. As Tristan explained, it is a weak antioxidant. So beta-carotene is the other form studied. So beta-carotene prevents free radicals effects by salvaging single oxidants and acting as a breaking oxidant. So it's going to break the pro-oxidants. It aids with decreasing lipid polarization. So that basically means that process is when the free electrons will steal the lipids from the cell membrane, and which will lead to cell damage, which we don't want. So that's beta-carotene will decrease that process. And endurance athletes, which is the athletes that we're looking at because they use aerobic glycolysis, it improves oxidative stress. So this study that we found, it looks at basketball players, professional basketball players, and they were given 32 milligrams of beta-carotene. And it showed between the female and male that it improves oxidative stress, higher 20-mile pacer. It increased estimated VO2 max, and they also increased hand grip strength. And there was also a positive association between carotenoids and levels in the blood and physical performance. Another study was looking at Korean men, and specifically looking at older men. They showed that when older individuals have a higher level of beta-carotene, it prevents sarcopenia, which is the decrease of muscle mass. However, it also showed that when they have low serum keratines, in females specifically, it led to a decline in walking speed. And then in both male and female, their skeletal muscle strength decreases over time. So 6 years with low serum keratine. So it kind of shows that carotene has an overall positive association with endurance athletes. However, still more research needs to be shown. So the next antioxidant that we're going to be looking at is vitamin E. So as Tristan explained, vitamin E is a lipid-soluble antioxidant, so it's going to be involved in the lipid membranes. Is the primary inhibitor of free radical mediated chain reaction. So vitamin E's main role is to become an antioxidant. It is the one that will get the free radicals and reduce them, not leading to cell damage. So when looking at athletes, it leaves the integrity of the muscle cells, and then when you have adequate amounts of vitamin E, it is maintained hypertensive status of subjects. So subjects that were given 400 IUs of vitamin E, which will later be explained, that's the recommended amount, had a hypertensive statuses were maintained and kept normal. It increases insulin sensitivity, and then again, it may benefit in increasing, but it's very still limited evidence. And the last one that we're going to be talking about is vitamin C. So vitamin C is mostly studied in acute intense endurance athletes or ultra endurance exercises, because that's when they use the most oxygen. Like Tristan explained before, vitamin E and vitamin C are codependent, so they rely on each other. Vitamin C recycles vitamin E, allowing it to restart the process. So all the research that was founded kind of related to each other. They all did the same thing, vitamin E and vitamin C. So it maintained hypertensive status in subjects. It increased insulin sensitivity. So these were all done. So the the subjects were given the dosage amount, so 500 milligrams of vitamin C, which is the recommended amount, and that showed the reduction in BMI. It may improve vascular function with exercise, although it was limited to older adults only. And what was shown with young football players was that vitamin E and vitamin C did not improve body power or anaerobic power, nor did it provide any indication of faster muscle recovery. So there's mixed research out there showing that all these vitamins and beta-carotene can lead to helping athletes. However, there's mixed results, and it's just not conclusive to it's officially helping or it's not helping at all. So when looking at safety, so this is also limited. They were mostly looking at the safety of the vitamins. So the vitamin toxicity, every vitamin has toxicity, especially E, A, and C. They all kind of relate to each other. So vitamin E toxicity is nausea, gastric distress, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, and headaches. Vitamin A toxicity is a higher toxicity that many people do know. So you have to specifically be looking at for pregnant athletes. Vitamin A, is known to be harmful for pregnant for infants, just because of having higher vitamin A when you don't need higher vitamin A during pregnancy can lead to the infant having development issues, nausea, coarse hair, and alopecia of eyebrows. And vitamin C is nausea, renal colic, hemolysis, and diarrhea. So the current limitations of literature. So like I said before, there's not much out there. Many of the literatures that were found did have many limitations to them. So the main ones were the mechanism of action is undefined and unclear. No one truly knows how these vitamins are helping. They understand vitamin E because that's the role of vitamin E. However, the specific roles and the specific actions they're taking in place is not clear. The dosage and timing is still unclear. There's not specific, this is what you should be taking, and this is how long you should be taking it. They just know that the daily amount, an adequate amount of each of these vitamins is helpful. Their dietary intake was self-reported in majority of the literature, which can lead to biases from the participants. And then oxidative markers are difficult to measure because of the redox regulation. Your body does not want these free radicals in the first place. So they're going to regulate it really tightly, so you can't really measure it in your blood. And then limited populations being studied. So the majority of the participants were between the ages of 25 and I believe 40. And it was mostly basketball players and football players that I found during my research. So the next part, Jackie's going to discuss our recommendations of our athletes. And yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Jackie. So some of the recommendations for antioxidants and nitric oxide are going to be as followed. So we'll start off with the polyphenols. So we kind of talked about them earlier just a little bit. So polyphenols are high antioxidant and high inflammatory molecules. So from research, it says that taking about 300 milligrams an hour before exercise can increase muscle endurance, and taking 1,000 milligrams plus a little more for the 3 days prior to exercise can also help restore exercise-induced muscle damage. So it's going to help a lot out with recovery. Polyphenols are typically found in plants like cherries, blueberries, and black currants. Some of the common supplements are pomegranate extract, grapeseed extract, green tea extract, and more. So polyphenols enter the blood after about 30 minutes and peak about an hour after consumption, and the effects decline after about 2 hours. It's recommended for athletes at all levels. The best improvements in sports are the sports that focus around time trials, repeated sprints, and sporadic high-intensity interval trainings. Next up, we have vitamin E and vitamin C. There were some studies done using high doses of vitamin C and vitamin E, and they showed that it slowed and protect muscles from exercise-induced muscular breakdown and prevented cellular adaptations for exercise. So what does that really mean? So that means that taking higher levels of vitamin C and higher levels of vitamin E makes it so that your body does not get those adaptations like muscle growth, increase in endurance, things like that, because your body's trying to fix it faster than it can break down and get these effects. But athletes at peak performance can use these single supplements to extend their peak performance and improving recovery time. So if you accidentally peak a little too soon before your race, your competition, your whatever sport you are participating in, using these supplements can help you stay competitive for just a little bit longer. Other antioxidants, for instance, from green tea extracts, they can also affect endurance athletes. So there is a chance that weight loss can happen due to the stimulation of fat oxidation when you consume about 270 to 1,200 milligrams a day. And one of the benefits of taking these supplements is that it can cause up to a 30% decrease in time to exhaustion. So you can work out a little bit harder, a little bit longer. So here are the dietary recommended allowance and the tolerable upper limit for vitamin E. So consuming vitamin E in foods is safe. However, when you supplement it, it can have adverse effects like hemorrhaging. And it can also increase your risk for prostate cancer. So I do want to bring up the slide before whenever it mentioned that using 400 IUs of vitamin E can benefit an athlete, but also in the same breath, 400 IUs of vitamin E can also increase risk of prostate cancer. Next up is vitamin C. So you can see the recommended allowances and the upper levels that you should intake. So there is such thing as too much vitamin C. And as mentioned before, there are some negative outcomes like GI distress, higher iron absorption, and impaired B12 and copper absorption. So be on the watch out for that. And vitamin A. So vitamin A toxicity can happen very fast in as little as a few days to a few weeks. And this is one of the more tricky vitamins to supplement just because there are such negative adverse reactions if you have too much. So some of the side effects include headache, nausea, blurred vision, muscle aching, spinal fluid pressure, and of course, the more negative side effects, a coma or death. Next up is nitric oxide recommendations. So nitric oxide recommendations, they recommend taking about 300 to 600 milligrams of a nitrogen supplement before working out. This can look like about 500 milliliters of beet juice or about 2 to 3 beets. So if you don't want to drink it, if you want to eat it, if you want to do something other than that, you can. The other thing is that consuming juice and like this can cause a lot of GI upset. So taking it with maybe some there's over-the-counter supplements now or like little shots that you can do that get you this nitrate supplement. Those might be better on your athlete just due to the fact that you don't get as much GI upset. It's important to take these about 2 to 3 hours before you work out. So nitric oxide enters the blood at 90 minutes and peaks at 2 to 3 hours, and then it depletes quickly. Consuming these high nitrate supplements a few days in a row can improve nitrate levels, leading to an increase in performance. So you will see effects like improved oxygen efficiency, higher muscle work during fatiguing workouts. You will have a shorter time to exhaustion. Your performance will improve, especially during repeated sprints or repeated exercises that have breaks and you need to go again. And then you'll also see an improvement in your VO2 max. You do need to watch out for lower blood pressure because of the vasodilation, so be mindful of that. There was one study that I came across that I really liked because it was a shot to the future. This group of researchers, a Margaretis and al. They studied athletes using tailored antioxidant interventions based on the individual's deficiencies. And it resulted in performance differences, especially with follow-up and alterations done to keep these athletes up to par. They found that the athletes were able to increase in performance and all types of stuff. And this author was thinking that the next steps could be finding individuals that are more at risk and helping them through their exercise journey by fixing these deficiencies and then continuing on and letting these athletes grow. So I thought that that was really interesting, and that could be something that we could definitely do more research on in the future. Other things that really need to be researched are the specific amounts of antioxidants used for treatments and using them with athletes. When we were all doing research, it was really hard to find specific amounts of antioxidants used, specific antioxidants used individually. They did not really specify or break down how they got to these levels of supplementation. So I think more studies need to be done on that and how to move forward in the future to really target in athletes into these supplements. So in conclusion, antioxidants can be very useful in recovery and ability to maintain, your maintenance ability by reducing oxidative stress levels. 300 milligrams of polyphenols an hour before exercise is recommended, as well as 300 to 600 milligrams of nitrates 2 to 3 hours before exercise. Vitamin C and vitamin E can help promote recovery and extend peak performance levels. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator, and it also has these antioxidative effects.
All right, so for our handout, we wanted to focus on antioxidants and just giving our client or athlete a quick snap of what an antioxidant is, and then speaking more about nitric oxide. So you can see that here's our cover page, and then our second page, we're talking about what are antioxidants, and we explain their compounds in various foods to help with controlling free oxygens that can lead to cell damage and death. Where can you find them? Many people don't know where antioxidants come from. So fruits, vegetables, nuts, whole grains, and then some meats do have antioxidants. What are the major forms? So vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C, and beta-carotene, and polyphenols. How can it help? Which is, I feel like, the most important part for athletes. We stated in our handout, there's limited evidence showing connections between performance and antioxidants. What is being shown is that it improves vascular function, possible endurance improvement, reduces fatigue, and then faster muscle recovery after activity. And then our second part of our trifold shows antioxidant timing and amount. So 300 milligrams of polyphenols 1 to 2 hours prior enhances exercise capacity and or performance during endurance workouts, and then greater than 100 milligrams of polyphenols per day for 3 days prior is recovery following muscle damage. What to look out for when taking antioxidants, that's just kind of just the side effects, headaches, diarrhea, vomiting, gastric distress, and abdominal cramps. And then our intake of recommendations for athletes. So we go through each intake and we put the recommended RDA, just because that's what we've seen in the literature, is just to give them a daily dose. Overall, just saying that athletes should have an adequate amount of all these vitamins. The vitamin A is male 900 mcg, female 700 mcg vitamin A, vitamin C 90 for male, and then female 75, and then vitamin E, they both have 15 milligrams. And then lastly, we talked a little bit about nitric oxide. So NO is a known free radical, which are the free oxygens that can lead to cell death and damage, and then how it helps with performance, and then overall our nitric oxide recommendations.
Next up, we have the Instagram post. So this is going to be one of those 4 slide little Instagram posts. So our first page would be your eye catcher. So the sports and nutrition with the antioxidants and the nitric oxide. And then that first swipe you do is going to show the antioxidants, where we talk about polyphenols and how the 300 micrograms an hour before exercise can help increase your muscle endurance. And then the 1,000 milligrams for 3 days before exercise can help with recovery. And then we go into more antioxidants with the vitamin E and the vitamin C. Just stating that 1,000 milligrams of vitamin E or vitamin C plus the 400 IUs of vitamin E can protect from exercise-induced breakdown of the muscles, prevents muscular adaptations, and can be used to extend peak performance. And then it also goes into nitric oxide, just stating that 300 to 600 milligrams or the 500 milliliters of the beet juice 2 hours before your workout can help improve your workout. It's going to improve muscle fatigue, oxygen efficiency. It's going to increase your VO2 max and performance improvement with short bursts of energy. Then we have our references.
This is our references. So thank y'all for watching this. Hope y'all learned a little bit more about antioxidants and nitric oxide and how it could help peak performance and maintain our free radical and reduce oxidative stress. But thank y'all. And that's going to be the end of our presentation.